Hello, this is Sagita from the ADD team, and this will be a video on Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro is a video editing software which is mostly used for sequencing um, clips that you have footage of. For example, if you have different angles um, of the same video, if you have footage of multiple video recordings of something and you just want to cut them and stitch them together in a sequence, that's where you use Premiere Pro. As I explained in the previous video, if you are working on motion graphics, if you're working on adding effects, doing 3D tracing, mapping, keying, all those kind of things, you would use Adobe After Effects. However, if your main goal is to just create sequences, so take footage you already have, cut it, add some color effects, transitions, those kind of things, I would suggest using Premiere Pro. The good thing about Adobe software is that it is integrated, so you can actually import your After Effects stuff into Premiere and use those clips, effects, whatever you have created from one software to the other. And to start with, I wanted to touch on using royalty-free or Creative Commons license stuff from the internet. So for this tutorial, I'll also be using clips which I have downloaded from various websites. So if you go on Google and if you just type in royalty-free videos or royalty-free music, you will usually find a lot of online sites where you can get this. So if you go on any of these, you'll usually find stock footage. You can of course search through it. Very often these websites offer paid and unpaid stuff. And for the free footage, the important thing to note, if you're using it, it will often tell you whether or not it's free for commercial use. Sometimes it's free for educational use only, and sometimes if the footage you use requires attribution, meaning that you need to credit the author somewhere. So either in the credits in your video or in the description or somewhere, you should say video by author from website. Very often these websites will also tell you the format they require the attribution. It's a good practice to get into, and it's a good way to avoid any kind of copyright issues, claims, and so on when you are working on your videos and publishing them and even submitting them for your coursework. There's also websites such as Motion Erase, where you can get not only video footage but also audio footage, also templates, presets, all kinds of things. Again, a lot of them are um, paid for. However, you can also find stuff that is free. So in Motion Array, you click into free assets box here, and you will see there are some options that you can download for free. Um, and if you hover over them, you will usually see a preview. So for example, this one here, you can actually uh, add your own text, and these text effects will be applied without you needing to work through it and apply it yourselves, which is often quite a nice time-saving thing if you're adding some effects. Same goes for presets, templates, all other things. And as I said, if you want royalty-free music, same applies. You type in royalty-free music in Google, you'll find a couple of websites. Go on any you want, and you can usually preview the music that is offered. And very often you'll find that when you download it, it will tell you what type of license it has and what type of attribution you should give to the author, which you should always seek to do. So I have already downloaded a couple of clips, which I will use for this tutorial. So if we go over to Premiere Pro, I'll start a new project. Usually it will be the same way as in other software. It will ask you where you want to save it. It will ask you to choose some settings. I just went with the defaults. Because this is a tutorial that I'm doing. So of course, it's on the file I intend to keep, so I don't need to title it and so on, but make sure to have naming strategy for your files. And also before we begin, I wanted to talk about the memory and media cache stuff, which is the same as in After Effects. So if you have worked for a long time, you'll see that you have allocated some space for your um, for your computer's memory for Premiere and After Effects to save, and it's always good practice to delete it once when you no longer need it, just because it will free up some more space in your computer and it will make work faster. Another thing I already spoke about in After Effects video, which is memory. Again, you can actually choose how much RAM you save for other applications. If you're working on multiple applications at the same time, it will make sure that even if the software runs slower, it will allow you to use multiple bits of software at the same time, which is often quite handy. All right, so your Premiere Pro window will look something like this. Um, you can always change the layout once you start working with it and you realize what you need, what you prefer. You can always change it yourselves. Usually you will have these preset uh, layouts on top. So if you go through learning or assembly or editing or color or effects, you will see that it changes. I'm working in the editing one at the moment, and it has four main areas. So on the right hand here we have a preview. So once I start creating a sequence, this is where I can go through the footage and I can actually review what I have created. Here we have timeline with our layers. Here we will have our imported files, and on the top corner here we'll be able to review our sources, select specific bits of it, and control the effects, which I'll go through shortly. So I have a bunch of clips that I have downloaded here. And to import them, you just select them and you drag and drop them into your little project window. And okay, must have selected the wrong type. So you can see I have a couple of clips here, and which have now imported. So now I can review them and add them to my sequence. So similarly as compositions in After Effects, in Premiere Pro, they are called sequences. Those are the clips you create. You can create multiple clips at the same time. You can have multiple clips in the same file, and you can always then add them together and do those kind of things. So the aim of this video is to show how you can actually cut your sequences and edit them, not just import and export. So if you want to do that, I'll start with the video here, which when you double click, it will open up in your little source preview window. And if you hit spacebar, it will start playing from where the timeline is. And you can always move it back and forth however way you want. Once you have, so I don't want to import this entire footage. I only want to import bits of it. So I'll start, let's say I want to start at the beginning. You can either use shortcuts I and O, I for in and O for out, or you can use these markers here. So you mark in, so it marks where you want to start your clip, and then you go to the point where you want to mark out, and you see that this part of the clip is selected. And to add it to your timeline, you can either drag and drop from here into your timeline. If I do this, you'll see that I automatically create layers. And if your video or whichever file you're using contains both video and audio, you will see that. I'll just go back, Control Z to show. You will see that uh, you can choose only import video or audio. So down here you will see the option for drag video only and drag audio only. So if for this clip I only want to import the video without the audio, I would just click onto the video, drag it in, and as you can see, the audio layer is not there. So as you can see, Premiere has created layers, and the way layers work is in this panel, you have this line down the middle. So layers on top are video footage, and layers on the bottom are audio footage. So if your clip contains both audio and video, it will separate them into two. Just to show again, I'll go back, and if I just drag this, what I have selected, it automatically drops into my timeline. So in my timeline here, I have video layers, which are layered. The bottom one is the first one, then if you layer something on top, it will automatically appear on top. And for audio layers, the first layer will be the first one down, and then the next ones will be arranged the way you want to arrange them. Also, if I do it this way, the sequence automatically assumes the parameters, so the resolution of the original clip. So you go under sequence and sequence settings, you will see the frame size and editing mode and all these things have been kind of selected for based on the clip you have imported. However, if you um, sometimes you will work with footage which is very large or very small, and you actually don't and actually want to keep your video um, to a specific frame size and frame rate, so you can actually control it all here. So I'll just quickly do that. And to do that, I will go under sequence and sequence settings, and instead of having it taken from my source clip, I'll just change it to let's say HDV 1080. As you can see, there's loads of different templates. It will depend on what you're working on. Um, I'll choose this HD format. I'll hit OK. It will warn me that it will delete some of the preview information, which is fine. And as you can see, the clip sequence size has now changed. However, you can also see that it's now cropped um, my video source file as well. And to rescale it, I can right click on it and click scale to frame size, and it will scale it back down. And now I will have my clip in the right resolution that I want. And similarly as in After Effects, if you hit spacebar, it will play the sequence through what you have um, in your timeline. So now to add the next clip, I'll choose, let's say, this one. And if you double click on it, again, it will show you the preview. So this one is a clip of just a time lapse of a city skyline. And I will choose, let's say, from here and all the way up to here. And again, I only want the video. I'll drag and drop it into my timeline. So what I've done here is actually I have created a second layer. So if I play my footage, you will see that the video just the one that's on top will appear on top like this, which is not always what you want, which I'll touch upon in a second. And also I think, as you can see in the preview and here, the scale of the clip is again not what I want, because I want to include the entire footage. So I right click and I hit scale to frame size, and I have the entire clip. So now to add transitions between the two clips. So the way we can do it in Premiere, you can either layer your clips on top of one another, depending on what effects you're going for, or you can actually layer them next to one another. So this way, once this first clip stops playing, if I hit, it just transitions to the other one. Of course, this is quite a brutal transition, just a jump from one clip to another. And the good thing is Premiere actually has inbuilt option to just add a quick transition. So if you right click here in between the two clips and you choose apply default transitions, you'll see it has added this cross dissolve effect. So now if I play my clip again, you'll see that instead of just jumping from one clip to another, it actually adds this cross dissolve effect. And see again. You can, if you want to edit this, you can always just drag it to be longer or shorter depending on your footage. Sometimes it will not allow you to do it if it doesn't have enough source material, but for most clips it will be possible. So now when I've dragged it longer, if I play it again, you will see that this transition happens much slower and the videos kind of overlap and fade and change opacity automatically. So if you were to do the same thing in After Effects, you would need to set the keyframes manually, and in Premiere the good thing is it does it for you. So if you have many clips you want to stitch together with the default transition, this is a very quick way of doing it. So for my little sequence, I will add another clip. So let's say I'll take this one. So this one is just people walking down the street, and I will again, I'll just drag the video and I will input it here. And I'll do the same thing as I did before. I will apply default transitions. And this time, as you can see, the default transition actually appeared on one side of my clip. So if I play it, you will see that the next sequence sort of like starts and the transition time is taken off this next sequence. You can always change it if you click onto the transition, and then you go up here on effect controls. You'll see that this is a cross dissolve transition, and you can see that it under the alignment it says started cut. And actually what I want to do, I want it to be centered at cut. And if I click it centered at cut, you will see that it centers it between the two clips. So if I play it again now, you'll see that it's buffering a bit. So I'll do it again. You'll see that it takes this cross dissolve effect and it fades it nicely from one clip to the other. And again, you can either change the duration up here if you have a specific amount of seconds or milliseconds you want, or if you just want to do it up to a specific point, you can always do it like this, and the effect should appear. All right, so and this is the way you can go as long as you need. And the good thing is in sequences, of course, if you have a specific length of your clip, you can set it in the sequence. However, if you're just importing footage and cutting it and putting it together, you can easily just extend and add more stuff at the back. And when you will go to export it, it will automatically take the time that you have footage for. So it will not export something that is empty, which is quite handy. And as this clip doesn't have any sound, I will actually have this royalty-free clip. If I wanted to add sound to my video, I would just drag and drop my clip down here. If I didn't want to cut it, and of course if I wanted to cut it, I could also okay, I'll actually show you how to do it. So the same thing, you can preview your clip, you can choose from which bit of audio you want to start and where you want the audio to stop. And then you just take the audio and you put it down here. And of course, if you need to cut it, you can just do it in your editor. And so in this timeline editor, you just select your clip and you just drag it. And if you press Shift key, it will allow you to stick to your timeline or to your other clips, so it will end at the same time as your clip. And as you can now probably hear, now my clip has sound. I'll actually mute it now because I don't want it to sound every time I'm previewing this, but the final exported clip will have the sound. And Premiere also allows you to edit audio, same as editing video, so you can always look into it and do audio edits as well. So for example, crossfades that I just showed on video, you can also do it on audio clips. And to mute it, I just hit the mute here and it should be muted. And so to me, if I want to mute my audio, I can just hit this M, which is mute track, and it will be muted. So now when I preview it, it won't sound, which is sometimes good when you are not actually working with the audio clips. And the same, of course, as video. If you need to hide something, you can just hide a layer, which of course now hides everything because I only have one layer. So talking of which, if you want to add another layer on top, similarly as you would do in After Effects. So it can be same as After Effects, it can be any type of footage you can add on top. So you can just add, let's say, use the same video clip. So if I use the same video clip here, sorry, it's this one, yeah. And let's say I just take in little bits of it. and just to show how it works. And if I drag and drop it here, you'll see that it in my sequence now this video is actually on top. Again, actually, I might want to scale it down. So if I um, play my sequence, it will just be on top. Um, if I want to overlay clips, it's actually a good way of doing it. So if I double click on it, you will see that in the preview I have the effects control, and I can actually change the opacity. So if I change the opacity to something like 80%, for example, now when I play, you will see that I have both videos overlapping one another. And similar to After Effects, you can actually do keyframes in Premiere as well. But instead of appearing in your timeline here, the keyframes actually appear on this side next to your effects controls. So let's say if I wanted to change, if I want to do keyframes for opacity, so I would start it here, then move my timeline, change my opacity to let's say 100, move my timeline again, change the opacity down, move my timeline, change the opacity back up, and then at the end here, I will apply the default transitions, which works on single layers as well, and it just adds like a fade out, some more calmer transition. And now if we play the clip, you will see that the opacity of the clip changes, so the people sort of appear and disappear onto my clip. And the same things you can also control as in After Effects. You can control the scale. So if you only wanted this to be a small thing somewhere in the middle, you can change that. You can change the position. It automatically centers it, but of course you can move it to side and you can move it up or down. And if you change this here, and again, same as After Effects, you can either use it as a slider or you can type in the actual percentage you want. And now if I play the video, you can see the opacity controls are still appearing, but the video just moves up and down. And the final thing from the kind of video elements, adding text. So if you just want to add, let's say, title to your video, you just use the type tool here, and you just click it anywhere in your video. I'm sorry. Uh, and you can start typing. I'll call this Premiere Pro tutorial, and you can position it wherever you want on the screen. And as I was showing effects before, the same effect panel applies to your text. So now I'm in effects control for the text, so you can actually change the position, the scale, and all the other things for the text. And again, you can apply keyframes if you need to. And again, if you want a smoother transition at the end, you just apply default transitions, and actually want this to crossfade for a bit longer. So if I start playing my clip now, you will see that once the timeline hits the crossfade, it slowly starts fading away, and we end up in the new sequence. The next thing I will touch upon is adjustment layers and color correction. So one way of doing your color correction, if you want to do it, if you want to apply it to a specific clip or sequence, if you just click onto the color panel here and you choose your clip, you'll see that you have the color editing and the basic stuff here. So if you want to, let's say, change the tone of your shadows quite easily, just moving your cursor around here to allow you to do it. Same as for highlights, if you want to make them lighter, just quick clicking through and you will see that this, if I play my sequence, basically same as Photoshop. You just add, it sort of like adds a color filter or color correction for the clip. And the good thing is that in the clip, it actually applies it as a kind of property. So if you click onto the clip, under effect controls, you'll see this lumetri color options here. So we have the basic corrections, we have the creative stuff, which I was just showing you. You have stuff like curves, so same as in Photoshop, if you do video editing, you can cut away the grays, or you can edit the exposure and that kind of stuff in here. Do it through color filters and other stuff. And if you, for some reason, decide to go back to the original, you just click on Reset Effect, and you will get back to your original clip. However, this way um, you only apply your color editing to a specific clip, which is sometimes useful if you just want to do color correction of a specific bit of your sequence, if it's, for example, overexposed, if it's too saturated, if you're adding a specific kind of effect or matching it with something else. If I go back to the editing window just so the color stuff disappears, I'll show you another adjustment layer. So if you go into your project file and you right click and go under new item and adjustment layer, um, so you will automatically create a layer which is um, same size as your sequence, and you can drag it up here on top, and again you can extend it um, wherever you need to. And so what your adjustment layer allows you to do, it actually allows you to drag effects or color corrections straight onto the adjustment layer, so it applies it onto everything underneath it. So if you are familiar with Photoshop, for example, or if you have done work in After Effects, same idea, that everything that I apply to the adjustment layer is applied to layers underneath, but you can control it manually without controlling each of the individual clips in your sequence. So if you're doing color correction for the entire clip, this is how you would do it, rather than going through every single clip um, um, on its own. And to apply any kinds of effects, so if you go under this effects panel here, you'll see that the effects appear, and you can just go through. You can add a search for effects. You can if you are an advanced user, you can create your own. I'll go through some video effects. As you can see, there is all kinds of options. So for example, if we use the, let's do a blur filter. I drag it into my adjustment layer effect controls, and I will add blurriness. Let's say that two is going to do something it's not. I'll just drag it until I can actually start seeing blurriness. So you'll see that now all of my clips have this blurry effect applied to them. Um, of course, it might not be what you want, or it might be something you want to apply only to a particular area of your clip, so you can always change the order. So if I put it underneath, if I change the order, I can move my clips up and down, and you will see now that the text doesn't have the blur effect, but it's only the adjustment layer which does have the blur effect. Um, and again, as with everything else, you can add the keyframes. So if I only wanted some blurriness up to this point, and then later on I actually want to fade it down, once you replay your sequence, you will see that the blurriness disappears. Just taking some time to load and buffer, which can happen. You can see now that the blurry filter has disappeared. And of course, it's not just the blur and the color correction, there's also some CGI effects you can add and get quite creative. So if I go into video effects and we go under generate, for example, what can I generate? I can generate lightning. All right, let's do that. And let's wait for a second for it to sort of buffer. What it does, it creates this lightning effect. Of course, it just puts it straight in the middle of the clip, but if I wanted to, I can move the start point. I can move the end point, change the position so it actually looks like lightning is coming from, let's say, corner of your screen. And if you want to delete a specific adjustment layer or effect, you just select it and you hit delete on your keyboard, and it's gone. Same as, for example, this blurriness. If I don't want it anymore, I can delete it. So it's under Gaussian blur. And I've deleted that one as well. So, and yeah, we can, as I said, there's color correction, all kinds of filters that you might need to quickly apply effects to your sequences, and of course you can create more than one adjustment layers, which gives you more control if you are working on separate things, or if you need specific elements appearing at specific times, you want to control them separately. It's always a good way to think about your workflow and what you're going to do at which time to make sure that you get the result that you want. For example, choose the change color one. Um, and I can, it's already selected the blue color. I can of course select something else in my clip if I want to. Let's say if I, for example, select, just to show you how this effect would work, if I were to select some kind of a light color and then I change the lightness to something quite dark, you will see that everything that is in that light color is now, the lightness has changed, and it will apply to the entire of your sequence, which of course is not really what you would want into this kind of video, but I'm demonstrating how it works, so I'll just delete it here. And I'll review it again. So if I think I'm happy with everything and I'm ready to export my clip, as you can see, it's because I've done quite a few things here, it's taking time to buffer. But usually, if it goes over the sequence once or twice, it saves it in the memory, which is the memory bit I was talking about earlier, and it means that it will be, the review of the clip will be smoother. But of course, it will take up space in your computer's memory. So to do my export, I will unmute my audio clip, and I will go under File and Export, and I'll hit Export Medium. It will ask me to set output settings. What I actually want here is I'll go with the H.264 settings, and I'll hit Q, and this will queue it to the Adobe Media Encoder, which I have already shown in Adobe After Effects video, and it's the same exact principle. Just give it a second to load, and it will allow me to queue all my clips that I'm working on. And if you, for example, are working on multiple things and you don't want to wait until it exports, um, you can of course queue a number of things, and then once you have finished working on edits, you just click start and it will start exporting. So here I can see that it's the folder I want, it's the format I want. If you want to change anything, you can of course do it here. And once you're ready, you just hit start, and your video will export, and it will tell you how much time is remaining. As it does, this one is not taking that long, both because it's not a particularly complex video and also because I have a rather powerful laptop, but of course it can take much longer depending on the complexity of your video. Alright, so and now the video export is finished, and you can open it in the folder that you have selected. So if I click here, you can see I have this MP4 video, which is the clip I have just created, and as you can probably hear, it has the audio as well. Alright, so this was the the Premiere Pro tutorial, just a very basic introduction, and I hope it's been useful, and good luck with your videos.